What's going on, North Carolina? It's your man, Ron Simmons, the multimedia marketing specialist for the Department of Agriculture. We're going to dive into discovering NC agriculture. Today, I'm with the family well known across the state, around the country, and here dear in Duplin County, the Murphy family. We have Mr. Wendell Murphy, we have Mr. Dale Murphy, we have Mr. Jeff Turner, and we have
Win Murphy.
Win Murphy. Give me the magic. I had an opportunity to hear about some of the awesome characters that were associated with the building of this company. One of my favorites was Holmes Murphy. Would anyone care to share just a little insight about who Holmes Murphy was and what he meant to the establishment of the company?
Well, he was my daddy, and without his help, we'd have never got started. Hardest working man I've ever known in my life. He never looked for an easy way to do a job. Seems like he always wanted to do it the hard way. But nonetheless, he was a worker and taught me to work when I was young, and most of all, taught me to enjoy working. And to this day, I've worked very few days in my life. It's been so much fun over the years, and with the things we've done. It's been a wonderful ride.
Holmes Murphy was what the younger generation calls the old school. So very disciplined, very focused, driven. And then the fact that he also held you responsible when the mill was built to work your public job and work at night at the mill.
I was the first one in our family to go to college, and certainly my daddy none of his siblings went to college. His parents didn't, and so that made me the first one. And I appreciate so much everything I learned from my daddy and watching him work hard. And again, I would remind you that he was a product of what I call a product of the Great Depression, where so many farmers, and not only farmers, but a lot of people lost their worldly possessions as a result of the Depression. You work with what you got, live with what you got. So it was just wonderful having him to be my daddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He always told me to never need anything.
All right. All right. So diving into the conversation on that, what inspired you guys to dive into agriculture?
Well, we were born into it. I mean, to begin with, I grew up on a small tobacco farm, and back in those days when there were tobacco quotas, it limited production and therefore had price supports, and it was the one crop that farmers in Duplin County could grow and make a profit. Mm-hmm. And that's what carried the family.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I was born into it as well. I think you started in 62, is that right?
62.
And I was born in 64. And so it's all I really know.
And Mr. Turner, what was the deciding point or the pivotal moment when you decided to pursue a career in agriculture?
Well, like everybody else in Eastern North Carolina, that's what there was here is agriculture. And so I grew up in farming my entire childhood and loved it, enjoyed it. That was my major in college. But I have to tell you, had it not been for the advent of Murphy Farms and what Wendell and his family did, Eastern North Carolina would have been a desolate place. I was in farm supply business. I was in the insurance business. If you didn't have an opportunity to diversify your income, tobacco was on the wane. Corn and soybeans was a crop not of choice in this part of the world.
Okay.
By having contract hog operations and contract poultry operations, you had an opportunity to diversify your farm income. Mm-hmm. And without that, Eastern North Carolina would look a lot different today.
All right, big man, talk to me. You being the fourth generation of the Murphys, what has the industry of agriculture looked like for you versus what we've heard in the discussion around the room?
Being that I grew up in it, maybe
Yes, sir.
my perception of it has been different. I enjoy it. It's a positive thing.
Yeah.
I think that, there's a bunch of young folks that I've worked with in hog operations, chicken operations in the industry, and there's a good young group of folks out there that I'm, close with.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I think that I think there's a lot of positive things to come out of agriculture going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really good for the community in the past. It's going to continue to be a big part in the future, and that's really the point I'm trying to make here is.
It's funny you mentioned how cool ag is today. So I've had an opportunity to meet one of your cousins, Wesley Hare.
Yep, John Wesley. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of Wesley. But my reasoning behind it was I met him when he was getting ready to go off to college. Mm-hmm. And he was excited then. He was like, dude, I'm getting ready to go to college. And I was like, wow. But the other cool thing was the conversation with him and his dad. They both said to me how good ag had been to him. Now, it wasn't something that was just handed to him. It was literally work. So whenever I heard the term work and it came from Wesley and then coming from John Wesley and then referencing the conversation with Uncle Wendell, literally I could envision who Holmes Murphy was because the impact had scaled several generations, right? So this brings me to my next question. What's the difference in agriculture today from when you guys initially dived into it?
Almost like the difference is night and day. I mean, everything has changed, and that's one thing that we can be sure of. The only thing we can be sure of is it's going to change.
Yes, sir.
Whatever it is now, going forward, it's going to change. Whatever it was when I started, it has certainly changed.
And interrupting for a second, one of the conversations that I remembered from Mr. Bill Prestige, he too, before his passing, was talking about how the industry had changed. When you were looking at feed conversions, how it had improved drastically.
So your question, I'm going to say technology. I mean, things as simple as, when I first started working on a sow farm, we hand fed everybody.
Oh, wow.
So now we got, mostly auto feeders.
Wow.
Just for one thing. Helps with labor, speeds up the efficiency of the operation. That's one that comes to mind. There's the climate controls. So far, I remember going out and I would say I was helping, but I was probably about that early in the morning when they'd load the pigs on the dirt lot. So I have been around long enough to see an awful lot of change.
There's a segment where, and it appears to be in the words of Mr. Murphy, where he was saying that when it was time to load hogs, it was a family affair.
That's right.
So mom, grandmom, everybody made sure that those hogs were loaded safely onto the truck and were able to be sent on their way.
We've been loading hogs the same way from whenever I got into the business. It's still, it's still a task. I'd say it's probably about the same as far as we just got to go get the job done.
Yes, sir.
But it is all hands on deck.
Yes.
Work's got to get done. We got load crews.
Mm-hmm.
Things are somewhat different, but things have changed quite a bit. I remember Daddy graded the hogs with a little paddle on the hinges right here. We'd bunch them up and they'd run a handful at a time, and they'd be coming, and you got to decide, is that one for the truck or not? I remember the first time he put me on it, and I was afraid he was, get mad at me if I did it wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you did it all right.
Oh, yeah.
I know you did it right. I got faith in you, man. Mr. Turner, did you want to add any to that?
No, other than to say you got to think about the evolution of this business and where it started. Someone would come in, they were paid so much per hog to raise them on their open land.
Yeah.
We actually, the first contract was offered after we had to destroy all the animals on our farm due to hog cholera. The government bought your herd, destroyed them on site, and then quarantined your farm so that you couldn't put any more animals there for a certain period of time. So the idea came that we borrowed it from the poultry industry. They were already doing contracting, but we went to some of our neighbors to see if they would be interested in doing it. And early on, it was a little bit tedious to get them involved.
Okay.
But once it got started, it's like a snowball. It got easier and easier, and it got to where people were coming to us on a regular basis to see if they could do the outdoor contracting right on the ground on their own farm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The impression that I had about Murphy Farms at the time, it was mega. The conversations that I was stuck on came from Sonny Faison, who was at Carroll's.
Sonny had new trucks, so didn't it?
Well, see, Sonny was a little different, you know. That's the other side of the fence, man. but literally, just hearing how it once was, and then seeing what I was seeing in the late 90s. Okay, so I'm looking, you know, it's 96, 97, and I'm like, wow. And I actually learned later. So you guys had the Chief built. It was named after your dad.
Yeah.
I did not know, man. So he had the reputation of keeping everything in line.
Well, he was affectionately referred to as the chief.
Yes.
A lot of the workers. I mean, that was they didn't call him by name; they called him the chief.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of our truck drivers, after we finished the meal, he said, "I know what you need to name it."
Okay.
And he said, "The chief." I said, "You're exactly right." And of course, he got the idea from the fact that the House of Rayford feed mill, just a few miles up the road, was named for Big Ed, who was Marvin's oldest son, who was deceased.
Okay.
So that's where the idea of naming the feed mill came from. And that's the way all that got started.
All right. So now we're going to, because we've already touched on how sustainability has enhanced for the industry as well as the consumer. What was one of the biggest challenges you faced when growing this farming operation, and how we overcame the situation?
One of the biggest problems has always been trained or adequate labor
Yes.
to staff your farms.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, but I think that continues today.
Mm-hmm. What I always thought about was the number of jobs you created. I always thought about the food that was going on the tables.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to Sampson County, Duplin County, the farmers, the producers, the contract growers, they always felt a sense of loyalty when it came to the Murphy name. Seeing miraculously how everything has shifted in 2025.
Can I speak to the last one just 1 second?
Yes, sir.
If you don't mind. You know, we can make anything in the world, but our people, our employee family,
Yes, sir.
are the absolute biggest asset we have. And albeit it's not perfect, it is absolutely a fact.
Yes, sir.
You can go down the hall, Ron, and there's a plaque that have years of service, and we're in excess of 30 years with a lot of folks. Their entire working career has been with the Murphy family somewhere along the line.
Yes, sir.
And by the way, a lot of them are still here. They're not ready to retire. Thank goodness they're not, because without them, again, you walk into a room of management and you see a lot of gray hair. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing.
Yes, sir.
We value and trust that, and hope that they're going to be here to bring the younger ones along.
Mm-hmm. 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 To reiterate that segment, the announcement that was released in the early part of, or the back end of 2024, early part of 2025, Murphy family to return to the independent pork production through agreement with Smithfield. I want to read this, then I just want to hear what you guys thought about it. Wallace, North Carolina, Smithfield, Virginia, December 2nd, 2024. Murphy Family Ventures in Smithfield today announced a definitive agreement that will reestablish the Murphy Family Farm business, which was founded by Wendell Murphy in 1962. And largely credited with creating the modern swine industry as one of the largest independent pork producers in the United States. The Murphy family has enjoyed the past 24 years as a contract grower and partner with Smithfield, and we look forward to restoring our heritage as an independent producer, said Dale Murphy, president and CEO of Murphy Family Farms. I have to ask, what does it mean to you guys to come back to the top all over again and be the headliner for the industry of agriculture in the U.S.?
Well, it's a great sense of pride. It's our legacy.
Go back in time 24 years.
Yes, sir.
And I'll never forget when the decision was made that Murphy Farms should merge with Smithfield Foods.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation with Wendell was, there's several things that we need to do here. Obviously, family wealth, but more importantly, my contract growers, beyond family, my growers, and my employees.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't take the opportunity to do this now, the next downturn or the next cycle that comes along and the business cycle, the compression takes place, can we stand another one? Because it was a tough time. 1998 was really a brutal time for the hog industry. And so
1999 got worse.
It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, I think Wendell's thought process was, we got to preserve this for everyone that's involved.
Mm-hmm.
You come 180 degrees 25 years later, 24, 25 years later.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things. Craig Westerbeek, you know.
Yes. Great friend.
With Craig Westerbeek's leadership and Shane Smith at Smithfield Foods, when they brought this opportunity back to us as a possibility.
Yes, sir.
The only question in the room once they left, as I met with these three gentlemen, was this guy right here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was all about perpetuating an industry.
Yes, sir.
It was all about family again.
Mm-hmm.
And all the farms that we were currently managing as a contract grower,
mm-hmm.
how do we perpetuate it? The same, it's an opposite, almost 180 degrees from where Wendell was.
Yeah.
We've come full circle at this point. And it's about how do we preserve what we've built and what we've been living on for all these years for Wynn's generation
mm-hmm.
and generations to come. And that was the answer. And it was the only answer. And after a lot of struggles and conversations and a lot of praying.
Yes, sir. Okay.
We had to have his blessing. We couldn't do anything other than just talk about it until we could talk him in.
Hey, as long as he's sitting right here, he's still the boss. Mark that down.
He's still the boss, and without that blessing, though, we could talk about a lot of dreams, but until we had a blessing, we couldn't do much. And so once we got the blessing, then things started, and the conversations unfolded to where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
So today, we've got these employees. We feel really good about their future. We own a lot of farms. We owned them before. We feel really good about the farm's futures. But more than anything else, the contract growers and getting them excited again, not that they were not. It's a little bit, there's a change in the industry, and it's diversifying the ownership in the industry and having a young person be excited about farming again.
Yes.
Without that, we don't have a future. If you don't have young people who are excited about getting up and going to that hog farm every morning, we can all call it quits. And while we preserved it 25 years ago,
mm-hmm.
this is another part of that evolution and trying to get people involved, trying to show that there is actually a huge opportunity for young people.
Yes.
And enabling a farmer to say, I do have something. There is a future in this business. I can hand it off to my son or my daughter and feel good about their future.
Yes, sir.
And that's what this did.
So I pride myself for going to the old country store. And whenever I see a lot of the older farmers sitting around, I keep my mouth shut and I listen. And I got to tell you, right before the big announcement, they were not excited, but they did say something's going to change. We don't know when, we don't know who's going to make the change, but something's going to change. And they immediately referenced, when old man Wendell had it, everything was right. And he took pride in his people. And there were some farmers that are no longer with us that would actually talk about the early days when Wendell and Holmes would actually go out to those farms and help them hogs be loaded. So in saying that, with the announcement, does this mean, what does it mean to the consumer, or more so the consumer? Is there more excitement in knowing that they now have product that is again produced in North Carolina, the U.S., or does anything change at all?
I don't think you're not going to see a recognizable change on the front side, the things that on the store shelf, so to speak.
Okay.
Again, it's not a huge conglomerate, so to speak.
Okay.
There are real people behind that pack of pork chop or that ham, and it's fully recognizable whenever you divide it up the way that's been done. Again, Shane Smith, president of Smithfield Foods, and Craig Westerbeek, president of Hog Production Group.
Yeah.
Had it not been for their leadership and their thought process, and again, trying to understand how do we change this dynamic, they recognized the need, and we're grateful that they did and that they approached us.
No doubt.
All right, so we got the hard part out of the way. That was the hardest question, was the challenge. Now, I want to know from you guys the biggest success that has ever happened with the brand Murphy Family Ventures, Murphy Brown, Murphy Family Farms. What is one of the biggest successes that has been experienced amongst you guys in the company?
Well, we're still here.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll go back and just reference our employee family. The fact that the loyalty that we show and the loyalty that they show is always been outstanding, and we're just very humbly appreciative of all of them, and I hope they'll continue to be of us.
What advice would you offer to the next generation?
Looking at me. Well, there's a lot, but I think number one is to understand what a noble profession it is to produce food to feed a hungry world.
Yes.
When I visit farms, I remind our teams of that every time I go to a farm. It probably didn't mean as much to me when I was younger.
Yes, sir.
But as I've gotten older, I've traveled around the world a little bit, and I've seen some things.
Yes, sir.
And it's very special to me to know that we have a part in helping feed folks.
The good thing, really the most rewarding thing of all, is the fact that we look around and see how much better people's lives are as a result of what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
The employees,
That's a better way to say it.
contract growers, and the whole operation has created opportunities for a lot of people. And I think I want to challenge sometime to try to sit down and see how many millionaires we have created. And a lot of people that didn't become millionaires still became living a lot better than they were or would have been without this.
Yes, sir. Mr. Turner, what advice would you offer to the next generation of farmers?
aspire to do better, to be more efficient. Modern agriculture has served us well, and the research that's taken place through the years to make us more efficient and to grow more food on less land. We always have to remain futuristic, I think, and think about where we came from. I grew up in Duplin County, in Jones County. I won't call the name of the company, but they come and sit down with me one time after it became Murphy Brown to talk to me about how to raise animals.
Yes, sir.
And they didn't even buy our meat, but they were going to tell me how we ought to do things. And I kind of set the table for them. I said, I can remember when my grandparents didn't have running water in their home. They had an outdoor toilet. They had a few hogs out back. They had a little crop. They were fortunate. They also had a little country store. But they didn't have much. They had more than some and not much that they have. But for modern agriculture, there's a high likelihood me or you or Wynn wouldn't be in this room today because we could not have sustained ourselves. So your question is always be futuristic. Always try to figure out how can you do more with less, because we're going to have to do that. One was already talking about labor issues. The need will only get worse. And so we've got to figure out how to embrace technology and embrace how can we do more with less.
Yes, sir.
Because there's less land and there's less bodies to do the work, and the need continues to grow to do what they'll describe, and that's feed a hungry world.
Very well said. I've already feel like I've taken up so much of your time, and so I want to thank you all.
Pay is pretty good, isn't it?
Stop it! Oh my God!
I'm gonna get trucks from that.
Commissioner Troxler, it was Wendell that said it. I didn't say it. I want to cut my mic off, man. But I definitely want to say to you all today, thank you so much, first and foremost, for what you've done for this great state. It means a lot to see that Murphy Family Ventures and Murphy Brown and Murphy Family Farms, that you guys still make a big impact today. I look forward to seeing the continued success of Murphy Family Ventures and Murphy Family Farms. And with that, to our audience, grown, raised, caught, made, it's got to be NC. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
That was awesome.